Curtis Calhoun here with MMA News, and right now I am joined by Grant Dawson, who's coming off a big win this past weekend over Mark Madsen. How's it going, Grant?
It's going, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. And first things first, I mean, just kind of walk me through these past few days for you and almost the last week in terms of taking this fight on short notice and getting a big win over a guy like Mark Madsen.
Yeah, man. The 2 weeks leading up to the fight, honestly, were two of the hardest weeks of my life. Um, Things were not going great, and fight day was really hard. Weigh-in day obviously was very hard, but we got the job done. That's all that matters. I got home, and I think I just got over being sick today or yesterday. So it's been a rough one, but we got the W. That's all that matters.
Does that make this win a little bit more meaningful for you in terms of just being able to work through that adversity and just to get to fight night in terms of taking this one on short notice? Is this more meaningful to you?
Yeah, I think this whole process was very meaningful to me. I think I worked through a lot of stuff uh, in myself. I think I worked through a lot of stuff that I need to change outside of fight camp. Maybe walking a little bit lighter. I think I think there's a lot I can take away from this, but the biggest thing is no matter how crappy of a day I'm having, I know I can still fight with the best in the world.
No doubt about it, man. Do you feel like you're starting to get a little bit more respect from the fans and the pundits, especially after your last few wins and getting a win over a guy like Mark Madsen, who obviously you out wrestled him in the fight?
Yeah, I think so. I think people are finally starting to look at me as that can contest the title and maybe even someday win it. But I've known all of this for a long time. Other people believing in me isn't what makes me a good fighter. I'm just automatically a good fighter. I think being ranked in the top 15 was definitely a goal of mine last year, and it didn't happen. We got it this year, so I'm very happy about it.
And you got to talk to Daniel Cormier after the fight. Obviously, that's got to mean a lot to you. You mentioned he's one of your heroes. Just kind of talk to me about what that moment was like for you.
Oh, it was great, man. I've been in the UFC for 3 or 4 years, maybe, yeah, 3 or 4 years, something like that. And I never got to meet Daniel Cormier. I haven't met Joe Rogan yet, so that was really cool to have. The Olympian, the two-time UFC world champion, in front of me and complimenting me. And after he put the mic down and the cameras weren't rolling, he had a lot of really nice things to say about me. So that made me feel really good. Anytime you can get high praise from somebody with his accolades, really means that you're doing the right thing.
Has he been a guy that you've always looked up to in terms of his fighting career and broadcasting and all that?
Yeah, man. Honestly, everything. He seems just like he's not just a great fighter. I don't know him super personally, but he just seems like a really good family man. He likes his food, as do I, clearly. But yeah, I think he's got it figured out. I think guys like John Jones and Conor McGregor, they're really great fighters, but they kind of just seem not to be able to figure it out outside the cage for the most part. And I think that Daniel Cormier really has. So, and again, I don't know him personally, so I'm just going off of what I can see. But it was really cool. It was a really cool experience to be able to meet him. And they say don't meet your heroes, but I don't know what they're talking about because that was awesome.
How's it feel to have a number next to your name now in terms of getting that recognition in the rankings?
Oh man, I was away. I couldn't. So I had a stomach problem when I got home on Sunday. I'm sorry, Sunday, and then Monday I was dealing with this stomach problem, and I was up until like 1 a.m. on Monday, and they updated the rankings, and I saw it, and it was just kind of like it was a great moment. It's just like wow, like they actually like are finally giving me the respect that I deserve. I'm actually like on paper, I'm 15 fights away from a world championship. And that kid that started doing MMA back when he was 15 years old to where we are now, it's just it's surreal. But at the same time, it's also like, all right, no more easy fights, no more, no more, no more taking this lightly. It's real now. I was
Absolutely, man. And you made a great call out after the fight, obviously calling out a guy like Tony Ferguson. Was he a guy that you've kind of looked up to in terms of as you were making your rise in the UFC? And has he been a guy that you've kind of had your eyes on for a while?
Yeah, man. I obviously I've known who Tony Ferguson is. I've honestly, I'm gonna say this and it's gonna sound stupid, but I never really thought he was that good. I thought he just had really good cardio and was very awkward. I thought that good wrestlers and good jiu-jitsu guys were always gonna do really well with him, and so I always felt like I matched up really well with him. Um, Everybody's kind of giving me a little heat because he's on this 5-fight losing streak, but every one of his losses recently have all fought for world championships before. So I don't really see what the big deal is. He's ranked above me. He's a huge name, and if you're in the rankings, you're free game. You know, there's no easy fights in the rankings. So if he's in the rankings, he's free game. I think that I can move up a step, and I think if I finish him, I might move up a few steps, and then I'm going to take out Dan Hooker as well.
Do you feel like getting a win over a guy like Tony Ferguson would do a lot for you in terms of, adding that veteran to the list, and especially a guy with his accolades and the guys that he's fought?
Yeah, I think he's one of the things that I'm missing, where it's like he was a world champion or an interim world champion, but pretty much a world champion. He was on one of the longest winning streaks over some of the best guys, beat guys like RDA, Edson Barbosa, Anthony Pettis. The list goes on. I can't think of all of them off the top of my head. Um, so a win over him definitely, and especially a finish. I think beating him right now isn't the really cool thing. I think dominating every second of the round and then finishing. I think that's the thing that shows me or shows people that I'm the real deal. So I think after I finish him and then I finish Dan Hooker, I think there'll be a lot of big fights coming my way.
A few more questions from me, man. Once again, I really do appreciate the time. I saw in your Instagram bio that you're a huge Star Wars fan. So I got to get your thoughts. Are you more of a Mandalorian guy or Book of Boba Fett?
Oh, it's the same show. What do you mean? It's the same show to me. It's all the same. I grew up on Boba Fett, but the Mandalorian, I think, saved Star Wars in my opinion. I think Star Wars was heading down a very dark road, and I think it was going to be a lot of disappointment. And then the Mandalorian came out and absolutely saved the universe, saved the franchise. So I think we all owe the Mandalorian something. The Book of Boba Fett is absolutely amazing, but in my opinion, it's the same show. It's just season 3 with a different character.
What are your thoughts on the prequels? Because I feel like it's people are divided in terms of there's people that love the prequels and people that are really critical of them. What are your thoughts on them?
The prequels is Star Wars for me. I'm a Clone Wars. I'm a the first 3, in my opinion, that's Star Wars to me. That's the best lightsaber fights. You got the best storyline. You got the clone troopers, which are way better than stormtroopers. I think that the prequels for me is Star Wars. My dad's into the original, and then I'm sure my kids will be into the prequels as well because they're going to be raised right.
I love to hear it, man. Well, hey, before we wrap things up here, I'll give you the Florida shout out any sponsors you have. Shout out your team if you want to. I'll give you the final word.
Man, I just want to thank my amazing team and American Top Team, all my training partners, Tiago Moises, Tiago Alves, Mike Brown, Steve Mako, my beautiful fiance, for everything going through this fight, making this happen. It's great. So follow me on Instagram, guys.
Absolutely. Well, Grant, I appreciate the time. I'm sure we'll chat again soon, and all the best with these next few weeks recovering and all that. And I'm sure we'll chat again soon, man. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Can't wait, man. Thank you for having me.